Hello everyone, this is Dave from Dave's Wreaths and Things, and today I am crafting with my Gnomie. Who is that, you might ask yourself? Well, if you've seen my channel before, you know that I have a very dear friend SOOZIE from SOOZIE Stuff, and I'm going to join her today with crafting with my Gnomie. So more about SOOZIE, and stick around because you're going to see what I create today with our gnome theme. And don't forget, click the link down below to check out what SOOZIE made. Why don't we jump on in and get started? Last week, I uploaded my tutorial on how I created this beautiful, lovely folded ruffle wreath. And if you wish to see that video, I'm going to link that right in the top right hand corner there, and then you can totally check it out. I just love how full, how fluffy, how ruffly this wreath turned out, and I used both a white and silver for this wreath. And what I'm going to be doing today is decorating that wreath. So last week I showed you a full tutorial on how I created this wreath. And this week I'm going to show you using this little gnome. Look at him, he's so cute. He is actually the inspiration for this whole wreath. So I wanted to do a white and silver wintry wreath. So I have all these silver, metallic colored, and I have some mesh, and I have this fuzzy white ribbon. I just loved it. And I've got some silver baubles as well. These have little stars and glitter on it. And I also have these little guys right here. And I picked all of this stuff up, obviously, just a little bit before Christmas, and some snowflakes. So I'm going to use all of this today, including this little guy. Hello, everybody. So let's get crafting with my Gnomie. And to start, I am going to add some ribbon to the wreath first. And here I am, I'm kind of just trying to decide which ribbon I'm going to use first. And I decided to use these two right here. And this is kind of a folded, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a folded foil wired ribbon, and it is 2.5 inches wide, and I'm going to cut it at the 13-inch mark. So I'm just going to take my scissors, cut it at that 13-inch mark, make sure it's 13, and then I'm just going to use that as a template. And I'm going to cut 6 of those, and I'm going to cut 6 of the mesh ones as well. You'll see why I only cut 6 in a little bit. And then I'm going to fold all of them over, and I'm just going to give them a quick little dovetail right at the end to finish them off. I'm going to do all of them, including the mesh ones. Get rid of my scraps, and then it's going to be time to attach all these to my wreath. Look at all that glitter on my desk already. So here I'm going to bring back my wreath, and if we turn it over, we can see some inside and middle and in the outside. And I'm going to use the outside attachments. That's where we have our stems, but I'm just going to find them using the back. So here I found this one. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to open up my ruffles in that area to find my pipe cleaners. And there's my stems, and that's where I'm going to attach these guys right here. I'm going to take one of my mesh ribbons and one of my folded foil ribbons. I guess folded, yeah, we'll call it that, I guess. I'm going to find my center, bring it in, fold it over, give it a little bit of a pinch, and since it's wire ribbon, it's going to stay like that. And then I'm going to find the stems that I just located, and I'm going to put the ribbon right in between those two stems. And then once I do that, I'm just going to give it a couple of really good twists to make sure that that stays in place. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these two different ribbons all on the outside stems. So those are the ones that I created that went on the outside 2 layers of the wire wreath down below. So again, you can just flip that wreath over. So I've done that one, and I'm going to move to the next one. And there's a total of 6 of these. Again, if you wanted to see the video where I created this folded ruffle wreath, there's going to be a link right down below as well, and you can click on that, and that's going to give you a slow version of how I made that so you can follow it step by step. And I'm just continuing on adding this ribbon here into my stems on the outside. And of course, it doesn't matter what colors you choose. You can do any colors that you want. You can follow the same procedure. This works with any kind of color of deco mesh, any kind of color of ribbon. My theme just happens to be a white and silver theme. And I just love how the silver ribbon kind of blends right in with that deco mesh. You can kind of see it, but it's hidden a little bit, you know what I mean? So it's like these little pops of different textures every now and then. And now I'm just kind of separating them and then just kind of seeing how they look, and I'm really happy with them. And now it's time to move on to my next ribbon. These are 2-inch ribbons, and one is again like a mesh, and the other one here that I'm cutting up right now, it's almost like a microfiber. I've never seen this before. I thought these were so amazing, and there's the mesh one right there. So I'm going to use these 2 for the middle circle, and I'll show you in a little bit how I did that. Now these ones I'm going to cut a little bit longer at 14 inches. So again, I cut my first piece, and then I use that as a template, and I'm going to cut 6 of these pieces, and as well I'm going to cut 6 pieces of the mesh one, and I'm going to dovetail all 12 pieces of ribbon in total. Dovetails always give it kind of a little bit of a finish. And here we go. So I have all 12 of my mesh and my microfiber ribbon. And this time around, I'm going in the middle too. So I'm going to put the silver one on one and then the white one on another one. So I'm just going to alternate between the 2 in those middle stems. So here's my first one that I find. I'm going to do the same procedure as I did before, and I am just going to find my middle, squish it up, make some more room for myself here actually. That wreath is so big, it's taking up my whole craft desk. And then as soon as I folded it up, I'm going to find that stem, and then I'm just going to twist it right in place. Now with this wreath, I wanted a little bit of a subtle ribbon. I didn't want it to stand out so much, but then I also wanted a ribbon that would stand out, and that's why I chose to use this white microfiber ribbon. It just totally stands out, whereas the silver ones just kind of blended in, and I was totally fine with that actually. It all worked out really well in the end. I made a couple of changes midway through. That always happens when I make wreaths. I kind of have something in my head, and then halfway through I'm kind of like, maybe I'm not going to use this, or maybe I'll use more of this. But that's what happened with this white microfiber ribbon, is I just all of a sudden started putting it on there, and I couldn't get enough. I wanted more. So here I am just putting in my last bits of the middle row ribbon. And then after this last one here, this is kind of where I decided I'm going to do another row of that white microfiber ribbon. I just love how it turned out. Loved how it looks on the wreath, but I wanted more in there. You'll see here there's only a little splash here and there. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to do that for these inner wires. And again, there's 6 of those. So I had to cut 6 more of my microfiber ones. And then I'm just going to go in, find those stems, attach my ribbon at the halfway mark after I fold and bend and pinch. And we're going to attach it right in between those 2 stems. And I'm going to finish that inside loop as well. The same with those little microfiber ribbons. And you can see what it looks like just in a few minutes. I couldn't tell you how much I loved this ribbon and working with this ribbon. It added texture to it, and with the stuffed gnome, which was kind of soft, and plus it's wintry, so you know, you love that your microfiber blanket wrapped around you. So I thought that was kind of cool. You know, you had the coolness from the silver, and then you had this nice warm fabric ribbon that I'm using here all added together. So it kind of brought some warmth into that cool wreath that I thought was really interesting. And I hope you found it interesting too. But there we go. I have my last one on there. And now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of time and kind of detangle these or untangle them, kind of fluff them out a little bit and give me an idea of what my wreath looks like so far after I've added that ribbon. And now, of course, it's time for our baubles. But before that, today is crafting with my Gnomie, and if you've watched my channel before, I have done a few collaborations with SOOZIE from SOOZIE Stuff. If you haven't checked her out, click the link down below. Watch her crafting with my Gnomie video, watch her other videos, look at all of them. They are all jam-packed full of amazingly creative and unique DIYs. She is so much fun, she makes me laugh, and she is also the creator of a 60-second DIY. So every Tuesday she uploads a 60-second DIY where she brings you a DIY within 60 seconds. That's how talented she is. She is a very, very dear friend of mine, and I have known her since the beginning of both of our YouTube channels. So please go and check her out, SOOZIE at SOOZIE Stuff. Links are all down below. Give her comments, give her a subscription. Thank you, SOOZIE, for inviting me today to craft with you, my Gnomie. I love you. All right, let's get back to wreath making here. Now I'm going to attach my baubles, but the first thing I'm going to do is all my extra stems, I'm just going to cut those off. And I'm using an old wire cutter that I had in my toolbox that I don't use anymore. So I just use this one for my crafting. You can totally use scissors if you want. I just find it's a lot easier with wire cutters. You can just do it all in one snip and you're not wearing down your good scissors. So I just go all the way around, chop off the excess stems because I'm not going to be using them anymore. And a little note that I do, or a little tidbit that I do, is I put a little bit of glue, just a dab of glue at the end of each pipe cleaner stem. I'll show you later on how I did it. But here are my baubles. And I'm always talking about adding interest to your wreaths just for attraction purposes and for somebody to go, oh wow, that's really cool. And a way to add interest is different textures. So here we have a whole bunch of different textures. It may be a monochromatic wreath. Say that 10 times fast. But you can add the interest using textures. And here I've got a lot of different textures going on. And to add my baubles, I am just putting them onto a pipe cleaner. And I'm going to do it in groups of 3. I like working in groups of 3. Odd numbers, 3s, 5s, 7s, 9s, all that stuff. And I'm just going to attach them right in the middle, and I'm going to group them together, and then I'm just going to give it a couple of good twists, and that's going to create my first bauble bundle. Oh, there you go. Say that 10 times fast. Bauble bundle, bauble bundle. And I'm just going to create a total of 5 bauble bundles. And that's starting to make me laugh. I'm going to create 5 bauble bundles for this wreath. And I'm just going to pick out different textures, different styles. I have some glitter, some plain, some patterned. And I do the same thing. I put 3 baubles per pipe cleaner. And then I'm going to twist it around. But I'm going to leave the long stems for now, because that's how I'm going to attach it to the wreath. So here it is put together, and I found a spot where I'm going to place them. I'm just going to separate my ruffles, and I'm going to find the wire wreath frame and the 2 inner wires. That's where I'm going to attach this bauble set here. You can see there those 2 wires. I'm going to feed the pipe cleaners through there, and that's how I'm going to attach it to my wreath. I'll reach around, make sure I've got a hold of it, make sure I like it where it's placed, and then I'm going to fold the wreath over, and then I'm going to give a couple of really good twists here, about 5 or 6 in total, just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Then I'm going to take my scissors, chop off the excess, and then here I'm showing you I add just a little bit of glue on there to make sure nothing goes anywhere and it's nice and secure. And that's what I was talking about previously. I do the same thing for the stems holding the mesh in place that we chopped off previously. So there you go, my first bubble bundle has been attached to my wreath. So I'm going to bring back my gnome because now I want to start placing everything, and I don't want to put baubles where I'm going to put my bow and my gnome. And I'm just deciding right now which ribbon I'm going to use for my bow. I have this really beautiful gray with the white, and then I have this silver one here, which is really pretty as well. Of course, you'll have to keep watching to figure out which one I do use. So here we go. With my gnome here, my bow's going to go there. I think I'm going to put another bauble bundle right where I had my finger right there. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab my bundle and I'm going to find those 2 inner wires, and I'm just going to attach it to the wreath frame and wrap it all the way around the back. So I work in groups of 3 and 5s, so I have 5 bauble bundles in total. I've placed 2, and I'm going to add my 3rd one in the middle of the first 2 that I have placed, if that makes sense. Even though I do work in 5s and odd numbers, I do like a little bit of symmetry as well with my wreaths and how they look. So what I'm going to do is I'll attach those, and then I'm going to attach the other 2 in the middle, but I'm going to do them on the outside of the wreath instead of in line with it. So that just adds, again, a little bit more interest. We have 3 in the middle, and then I'm going to put 2 on the outside, and that'll create just a little bit of interest that it's not all within the same area or within the same line, let's say. And now that they're all placed there, I'm very happy with the placement. Of course, there's a few mesh tangles there that I'm just going to get rid of. And I had some single baubles left over, and I started placing them. Normally I place stuff down first before I glue it down, just in case I don't like it. And with the single baubles, I really didn't like how they kind of looked. It just kind of threw off the whole balance of the wreath. I didn't like how it looked, so I took those off. That's it, I'm not doing that. So now it's time to make my double bow, and I'm going to use the silver ribbon, and then I'm going to use that folded ribbon as well. And what I'm going to do here is do my double bow for this. If you want to see the video, I have a tutorial here on my channel. I'll link it in the top right hand corner how I made this bow. It goes a lot slower than what I'm showing you here. But all I'm doing is I'm starting off with figure 8 loops with my bundles, and I'm twisting it in the center so the good side is always facing down. And then that way when you go to flip your bow over, all the good side faces outward. So again, I'm just folding it over, twisting it in the middle, and I'm creating my beautiful double bow. Again, I will put a link in the description down below for a very slow method on how you can create your own double ribbon bow, and then you can check that out as well if you wanted to make one yourself. I love this technique of bow making. I think it's easy, fun. You don't need 27 hands to make a bow. And you're just going to chop off that excess, squish it in the middle, put it between your fingers, grab that pipe cleaner, and then just twist around the center, and that is your bow. And now I'm going to move on to making my tails. I'm just guessing the sizes. I wanted really long tails, so 2 colors, 2 different sizes, and I'm just cutting those right down. And then once that's done, I'm going to dovetail each ribbon just to finish it off at the end. And we are done. We're cleaning up my messes as we go. And I am placing these face down, one on top of the other, finding my center, squishing it, bending it, pressing it, and then I'm going to put it right in between and give it a good couple of twists with those pipe cleaners, and then a little dab of glue just to hold everything in place. And here we go. I have my wreath, I have my ribbons on there, my baubles. Now it's time to place my bow. So I bring my gnome guy back, and I'm just going to take those two stems, and I'm going to find the two inner wires once again, feed the stems through that all the way to the back, and then I'm just going to give it a couple of good twists. And before I cut the excess and glue it all into place, I'm going to flip it back over just to make sure that that is the placement that I want. So I just kind of separate the stems or the tails, put my gnome on there. Yep, that's how I want it. So now I am just going to come in and I'm going to start fluffing up that bow, just separating the pieces and then opening up those bows and the loops, pulling them towards the tops and the bottoms, spreading them out a little bit and fluffing them up. And there you go, you've got your beautiful silver bow, and our placement of our little gnome is going to go right there. So I'm going to take this little guy, sorry dude, a whole bunch of hot glue on his back, and then I'm just going to push him into the wreath with some force to make sure he stays there. Sorry again, dude. But there he is on top of our bow. How cute does he look? And for the final little step, I have these snowflakes, and I thought they would be so fun to add. Since this is a winter themed wreath, I'm gonna add some of these cute little glittery white snowflakes. And the thing that I liked about this was like they were an off-white color. So once I put them on the wreath, like when I took them out of the package, I was like, ooh, they're not exactly white. They looked white in the store, but when I got them home, they weren't really white. But when I started placing them on there, I was like, oh, this looks really good, and I was really happy with it. And some of them, I'm chopping them in half, and here I am, it's all full, and I'm trying to figure out if I want to add more, and then I'm like, nope, just stop, Dave. You gotta know when to stop. So let's fluff it up a little bit more, and I'll show you the final result. Here is our little wintry gnome wreath in its all its glory, hanging on my studio wall. I just love how this turned out with the whites and the silver, our little, snowflakes all over the place. And of course, you can't forget that little dude. That gnome is so cute, especially when today is crafting with my Gnomie. But there is our finished wreath. And again, thank you so much to SOOZIE. I love this crafting with my Gnomie video series. Go check her out. Click on her link down below to see what gnomes she created. You won't want to miss that. She's making her own gnomes. How cute! And you are going to love it. Thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified whenever I upload a new video. Thank you again for watching. Take care. Bye for now.